Yeah, go ahead, see if you can. It's an FL.
Welcome to Carl's Cycle Supply, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Brittany Wilson. This is a 1946 Harley-Davidson FL model. I'm going to try my best to kickstart this bike for you today. I'm 112 pounds, and if I can do it, you can too. Let me take my cell phone and give it to the dog. Good boy. That worked flawlessly.
The next step is that little apron for the dogs that holds the tools.
Oh my gosh. Dogs look really cute aprons.
Is the gas on?
Yes.
Is the choke on?
Down all the way. Yes.
Yes, I like the woman, but I won't make a baby out of you.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode from Carl's Cycle Supply. Thank you so much to everyone who's liked, commented, shared, and subscribed to this YouTube channel. Stay tuned for this beautifully restored knucklehead from Carl's Cycle Supply.
Here is an awesome 1946 Harley-Davidson FL. 1946 is the second to last year that Harley made a knucklehead, and it's a very evolved, refined, awesome motorcycle. This bike would have been made in late 1945 for the beginning of the 46 production year. And even though the war was over with, by the time they started making this bike, Harley still had a large inventory of parts that were affected by wartime rations. There were low quantities of materials to make parts. So, you know, when you compare this 1946 to a 41 or 42, it's dimensionally the same bike, but aesthetically it's very different. You'll notice that the air cleaner's black, the gas caps are black, there's no fender trim. It has a black ignition switch cover, black shiftgate and arm, black buttons here. But, you know, this wasn't a direct effect of what was going on in the world. I think Harley was just using up the supplies they had on the assembly line to build bikes out of. So let's start with what a 1946 knucklehead is like. 46, Harley made about 6,000 knuckleheads. Just under 4,000 of them were FLs, which is a 74 cubic inch. And the remainder of them were ELs. This is a 28 degree frame. It's an inline fork, and I think they use these for right up until somewhere around the 3,000 mark, plus or minus a couple hundred bikes. After that, they came out with a 30 degree neck and still use the inline fork, and then later on in the year, they came out with an offset fork, which kicked the fork back, which is the same chassis as a 47 or 48. In that regard, 36 knuckleheads and 46 knuckleheads are very similar. It's easy to do the early ones, it's easy to do the late ones, but if you're restoring a mid-range, mid-serial number one, it's tough to pinpoint when all those changes took place. In the case of this bike, luckily it's an early one. So my dad got the lead for this bike when he was on a Black Hills AMCA chapter road run after Sturgis. And you know, it's a really nice bike. It's original gas tanks, dash, speedo, fenders, headlight. The engine's really nice. The transmission's really nice. The saddlebags are correct for 45 and 46. And they're mounted with some glow bright jewels that were made by Red Fox Enterprises. It's just an awesome original motorcycle. It turned out really good. We did a few departures from a super stock early 46. We put rubber footboard mats on it, and also he found a really cherry front fender light for it. And then we also put chrome bezels on the headlight and spotlights. He found this set of under the seat lights at a swap meet, and they have black bodies and chrome reins. And I think normally they were probably all chrome, but they look super cool, especially when it's lit up. So it has original rims and hubs and brake drums and backing plates, original brake shoes that we relined. It has Firestone tires, which are really nice and really fit the wheel great. It's got a great post-war look. Overall, it's just a really nice bike. I can't wait to start riding it and using it and get it all sorted for him and send it up to the frozen north. I mentioned earlier it's 28 degree frame, but it's like the second year for welded construction. So it's welded right here rather than being sweated. The sidecar loops are welded, and then the motor transmission mount is welded too. And this frame was in pretty good shape. I think I had to put new bottom rails on it, and I remember something being messed up on the seat post. I think I had to replace the transmission and brake crossover shaft mount, but it all turned out really good. When you change parts on these frames, the hardest part is trying to make the welds look as bad as the original factory welds. If you look at these real close, you can just see how nasty they are. This is electric welded, and that was really new technology that was kind of birthed from the war. So it looks pretty good with some paint on it, and if you squint your eyes, but it's still pretty messed up. I love bikes like this. They're totally blacked out and utilitarian looking, and just a ton of fun to see, as opposed to the really shiny pre-war bikes or shiny new 47. They're all cool in their own way, and they're all different in their own way, but I'm really happy with how this one turned out. A couple years ago, we did 2 other red 46s, an EL and an FL. Each of those had cream emblems on them, which is a 46 only thing. I've always wanted to do a red wartime knucklehead with black emblems. I just think it's such a cool look. Here is the left side of this 1946 FL that we just finished restoring for our friend up in North Dakota. I think it took 2 or 3 years. We started with a real complete bike, and I kind of talked about most of it when we were going over the right side, so I wanted to talk about some of the cool 1946 only features. So probably the biggest thing on the front of the bike that came out in 46 was the shock. And most bikes came with this. This is like a hydraulic dampening shock. There's fluid in here, and then it mounts on the front leg and then on the top headlight bracket studs. This is a really cool thing and works much better than the ride control. I don't think it looks as cool as earlier ones, but I think like on a 46, 7, or 8, this is the best thing to have. They had to change the headlight bracket when they came out with this. And 46 has a 1-year only headlight bracket, 47.5 has a 1.5-year only headlight bracket, and then 48 to 57 are about the same. They came out with a new lower horn bracket to bring the bottom of the horn out a little further, and they came out with these cool rubber mounts to mount the shock. All of this has a 1945 part number, but I've never seen one on a 45 where I thought it was a legit thing. 46 has a little terminal on the left side for the headlight power wire, and in 47 they came out with an accessory terminal right here. This particular bike has spotlights on it, and we chose to put another headlight or another electrical terminal right here and run the spotlights to that, and then just get power off of the headlight wire. And then you also have these switches here. If you look at some bikes, sometimes they have a mounted switch up here to control the spotlights, but I figured this was the best way to do it. That's kind of how I like it. Another thing they had to change to accommodate the shock is they changed the spring perch forging and made some more room for the bracketry that was involved. And it's all really kind of minor stuff. They reintroduced the aluminum front brake handle. 43, 4, and 5 were all cast iron. And what else? This was the second year of a welded frame where they had welded sidecar loops, seat post forging, and motor transmission mount. And the welding was very primitive, and this is original welding all in here. And you can see that the plug weld wasn't completely filled, and this stuff around here just looks terrible. But that's kind of the way it was, and you got to appreciate it for what it is, I guess. So 46, 45, and 46 have steel emblems. These are black steel ones that my wife painted. We got the color matches from some NOS emblems I have, and they're really, really cool. It's very tricky to do these, and I'm glad my wife did them. I used to be able to do a really good job at them, but I just don't have that fine touch anymore. So, what else is cool on this? 46 is the last year for the Cat Eye Dash. It's the last year for the Bullseye Speedo. It is the last year for this style of saddlebag. In 47, they came out with the Loctite plates on them with little latches to hold them together. More about this specific bike. This bike's kind of set up to use and have fun with, and it's got some cool personalized touches that I really like that the owner wanted. One of my favorites is the spotlights. These are tall stem original spotlights with the pre-focus screw adjustment on the back where you can kind of move the bulb socket in and out. And then they're painted black and then have a black base. This is very rare wartime type finishes. I think originally it would have had a black lens or black bezel, but he wanted to put chrome ones on, and I think it looks really nice and deluxe. And he also wanted to have under the seat lights on it. He got those from Paul Greenwood in Pennsylvania, and I'm not sure if he makes them or restores them, but he always has them, and they're always perfect. They always look great. They always work great. And he's been in the hobby and sport a long time. He's a good guy. So, what else? The bike's been converted to 12 volt. This is a good upgrade because we can run a halogen light bulb in the front. We can have good lights. We can have easily accessible batteries if we're out on the road. And it also has a Andrews shovelhead style coil. We make the brackets for those for mounting them on knuckleheads and 45s and ULs and VLs. It's really a cool, handy little thing, but we don't really sell that many of them. But you know what? It doesn't matter. We've got them for our own bikes. We also put a belt drive in the primary. This gears it up in the primary and then allows your speedometer to still read correctly. This bike has original rims, original hubs, original brake drum and backing plate, fork rockers, front fork leg, main fork leg. The handlebars are Hollywood handlebars, and these are really cool. They came out in 1940, and then after the war was over, you could start getting them again. I'm not sure when they got reintroduced, but this is what Scott wanted, and I think it looks really awesome. Another thing he wanted to add to it was the addition of this fender light. And this is like a 48-ish light. It's got the writing on the side and the offset terminal. And I don't think an early 46 would have had one of these when it left the factory, but they were delivered kind of boring and bland and bare bones, and dealers would do anything they could to dress them up to sell them. In early 46, you could only get gray or flight red for colors. And one of my favorite stories, my friend Mike Wilson told me. Mike and Margaret Wilson were from Iowa. They owned a dealership. They came to our wedding. They were amazing people. And Mike told me a story about having a gray 1946 WL on his showroom floor, and nobody would buy it. He goes, it was just such a boring looking bike. There wasn't any chrome on it. And it sat on the floor for a couple months, and I was selling all these big bikes, but nobody wanted this gray WL. So I masked off the fenders and painted the top of it red, and I sold it in a week. And I always thought that was such a cool story. So another cool story, one of my friends has a original paint Skyway Blue early 46, and it was shipped to the dealer in the crate. The fenders were not drilled for trim, but it came with the trim in an envelope, and it had all of it except for the left rear one for the tail flap, and the dealer put it in. This was a little bit higher serial number than this one, but for this one I think it should not have the trim, but if we put it on later, that'd be cool. Speaking of things we still have to do to this bike, the owner and our friend Scott, he wants me to make a luggage rack for it and make it like the cool accessory one that goes right here. So it's kind of like a little candy cane that goes around like this, and then it has some flat plates on top. I've made a couple of them and they're fun, they work good. Oh, another cool thing, an upgrade that Scott wanted to do was to put rubber footboard mats on it. It should have metal ones, but they're really uncomfortable. Your feet kind of skate around on them while you're riding the bike and it's vibrating around, and it's just not very much fun. One of the cool things that changed on 46 and distinguishes this from this is an early one versus a late one, is it has a flat clutch pedal, it has narrow brace fenders, and then the rocker boxes aren't flat on the bottom. That started happening around the 6000 serial number. So all in all, this is like a very cool bike, and we didn't build it to fresh off the truck delivered standard. It's more like a bike that had been around for a year, where the owner started adding some personal touches to it and making it more personalized and a little bit flashier. And I'm really happy with how it turned out. I think it's a beautiful motorcycle. It runs great. It started on the second kick when I first started it, and I had to shim the generator and adjust the brakes a little bit. We'll continue to ride and heat cycle it, but it turned out really awesome. And it all started with a cool lead on our Black Hills AMCA chapter road run, which is awesome. We had a good streak going where we found a couple knuckleheads each time we had one of those road runs. So we need to keep having more and keep digging out more knuckleheads. Is that good?
Sounds awesome.
Thank you so much. Hey!
Time.
How are you doing?
I need some help.
Oh, okay, cool. Well, we just finished.
Cool.
Go look in the camera at how nice the bike looks.
You want to say anything?
Me?
We're still rolling.
This bike has been a pleasure to build for our good friend Scott, and he deserves one of our bikes. And anyway, it's awesome, man. Exactly the way he wanted it. And it's not totally 100% correct, but it's the way the owner wants it. And the little minor imperfections are easily rectified if he ever wants to. And it runs like a top.
That's right, it does.
And it's very comfortable to ride. He'll have many good adventures on it. And he's a very good friend, and he's a riding partner, and he's an awesome guy.
Absolutely. I agree.
Stay tuned for the next one.
Yeah, stay tuned, folks.
You gotta put some WD-40 on those door hinges.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, hey, that's right.
That's right.
Thanks for watching. If you love old motorcycles, be sure to tune in to our next episode. Bye guys! Ride safe, take chances, go fast. Woo!